Live from Western New York, this is Self-Advocacy in Action with today's special guest, local writer Beth Geyer. Now, here's the star of Self-Advocacy in Action, the Princess of Summer, Gwen Squire.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show. Today's special guest is Beth Geyer. Hi, Beth. How are you?
Hi, Gwen. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Of course.
So let's get started.
Okay.
We're going to talk about your writing today.
Oh, good.
Because you're a local writer, as Eric said, our announcer said.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering how you got started with that.
You know, I love talking about my writing, and it's funny that you asked me that question because I never thought about like what really started me in writing. I think there was really no defining moment, no tipping point, but it started very young with my reading. I was an avid reader as a young girl, and I remember just every story I read, like how did they do it? How could they write? How could they tell these stories? And then when you get an adolescent and you're struggling with who you are and who you're going to be, I found that it's when I started writing in my diary or keeping a journal, it was fun, and it was like almost like it was therapeutic. It was very helpful. So I think that's what started me, was just starting to write in a journal and reading. Reading is critical.
I think so, too.
Yes. Do you read?
I do, and
Yeah.
I write.
Yeah. See, I think that as a writer, in order to be a writer, you have to read. There's just no question about it. Because when you're not writing, you should be reading. So I read. If I'm not writing, I'm reading. I read many books, so that helps.
So you have like a local class type thing that you do? Is that what it is?
Yes, I've been doing with the writing. I host some writing groups. I've been doing it for about 5 years now. We have a very nice following. We've now recently opened it up to people with non-disability, and it's just been a wonderful experience because people with work right side by side with people with disabilities, and our workshops run about. I do maybe 2 a year.
Okay.
And they run in 6-week sessions because 6 weeks is good. After that, we're done. Then we can go back and write, and then I'll probably run another one. I usually run like in the beginning of the year, and I'm probably going to start another one maybe July, August.
Okay, cool.
And then, but those I usually go on email, and if anybody has if they need information on joining the writing group, I'm sure they can contact you or somebody, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, because everybody knows Gwen. We knows you.
I guess so.
So I do have the writing group.
Okay. So tell me, what do you do with these writing groups? Do you just encourage people? Do you?
You know what it is? It's very gentle. It's not. I don't teach writing. I don't think that anybody can really teach writing. I think that what we do try to encourage is self-expression. Like if you come to my writing group and you have nothing to write about, I'll give you some ideas, or I'll just ask that you sit there and listen. Just listen to what other people are writing. And then the person reads it out loud, and then the group gives a very gentle critique. We don't sit there and go, "Oh, that was terrible."
Okay.
There's really nothing terrible about expressing yourself.
Right.
Whether because some of this stuff is sad, some of it might make you angry, but you can't judge the what the expression is. So it is just listening, and it really turns kind of like a therapy group.
Okay.
It turns into it's a catharsis for people to just have someone listen to what you have to say.
That's actually why I started it.
Yeah, isn't that helpful? Don't you find it helpful? And to me, like if I don't get it out, I'm afraid it's going to stay in there and then just fester.
Yes.
So if you can write it out, paint it out, talk it out, just get it out.
Exactly.
So I'm very.
I should have asked you this
No.
to begin with, but what do you do tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you love to write, but what else do you love to do? You do other things.
I do lots of other things. I'll tell you what. I've been working at People Incorporated for almost 30 years now.
Wow.
And I met many wonderful, wonderful friends and people through this agency. Because of this writing group, I was able to get 2 other women, local women, Vienna Hack and Amy Levesque, and we started a theater company. I'm sure you may have seen a couple of our plays. Mm-hmm. Our first one was with Parent Network, Always October.
I loved that one.
Yeah, that was a great play. And then the second one was The Process, and that was done at Ujima Theater. So this year we're working with 2 playwrights. Well, they came from my writing group. I said, oh, these could be plays. So if you write something, we can make it into a play. Don't worry about putting it in the format. Don't worry about putting it, the right, we can help you with that. That's what we do in the writing group.
Okay.
If you have a poem and you say, I want this to be or if you have a story and you say, I want this to be a poem, we can help you put it into a poem form.
Wow.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be. So anyway, this theater company came from the writing group, and we used some of the writers, and we were able to develop their stories into plays. And our theater company is called Unique Productions. And right now, we're in search of a theater. So if anybody has a theater laying around.
I was just going to ask you to mention that.
Yeah, please. That would be so helpful if someone could just say, you know what, I have a theater that you guys can use. We are definitely looking for a theater space.
Okay.
The community has been very helpful in helping us, giving us some guides to go on, but we are looking for a theater space.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah.
Okay. Why did you? I don't really want to stay totally on the topic of unique productions.
No, that's fine.
Because
yeah.
I know we're here to talk about your writing.
Yeah.
But how did you? I always wanted to know how you came up with the name Unique Productions.
You know why? Because I guess to me I don't feel that we're real creative. I thought because we were just so unique. There's not a theater company in the area that is working on a professional level with people with disabilities and coupling them with people with non-disabilities. We've had our folks work with some very, very successful local actors.
Yes, you do.
Who have worked at Ujima, at Alleyway. They have stood on stage with some of our actors from our writing group.
Right, who have
disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't even know what else to call it. It's just so unique. No one's doing it.
Right.
So we thought it's unique. Let's just stay with that and call it Unique Productions. Mm-hmm. So that's what we do. So you write too, though, right?
I do.
And you're writing
I was writing like a little short story. I started it in college.
Oh, good.
And it does have people with disabilities in the story, of course.
That's okay.
So,
yeah.
But
that's the other thing. People, when I talk about people with disabilities, and I'm trying to get away from that because I think that we have to think of the word of all abilities.
Right.
Because I was at a panel discussion, and it was about writing and disability, and when they asked me the question, I mean, to me, the writers that I have, they're not always writing about their disability.
They're not.
Right. I mean, it's just. We all have disabilities. We all have abilities.
Yes, we do.
all have everything.
Yes.
So I'm just really interested in the stories, and all people have really good stories.
Yes, they do.
So when we talk about writing and disability, I think there are some writers out there that are talking about their disability, and that's the crux of their story, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
No judgment there, but be aware that that's not just the only story.
Oh, I know that.
I think that's some of our writers get hung up on that.
Right, and it wasn't going to be just about that. It was going to be about something that happens to somebody at the end, will happen at the end, but it has nothing to do with the disabilities per se.
Right. She might happen to have a disability, or she might not.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't matter. It's the story that really
right.
that really matters to me.
Right.
I think that's the best part of the whole writing process for me.
Right, and you said that you were saying that your group isn't critical.
No.
Of people when they write and stuff, which I like because I think at least for myself, I find that intimidating when I want to go show somebody my writing. In school I was told I was a great writer by teachers, that they liked my writing style and stuff. But as you get older, you're not so sure anymore. Are they just saying that to be nice or what's going on?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up because I struggle with that as a writer too. Am I a good writer? I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know, because you're right. Some people say, oh, Beth, you're the best writer. But things that I've published, they don't get published.
Right.
I get rejected all the time. And this is how I go, and I hope that you can take this with you, is that if you are writing, you're a writer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If you sing, you're a singer. I mean,
yeah.
I guess, and whether you're making money on it or not, or if you're not getting paid for it,
right.
You're still a writer.
Right.
So that's how I look at it. If you write, and in our group,
mm-hmm.
what I might do is, what I'll say is, okay, let's talk about the story that, say if you wrote the story.
Right.
All we would ask is if there's one parts of the story that if they're losing the audience, we would say, oh, you know what, Gwen, maybe you can perk that part up a bit.
Which is what I would want.
Yeah, it's not a critique. We never, ever say that you're a bad writer, because
mm-hmm.
I really don't believe that. And I know there are a lot of artists out there that are like that. They're just, if you're painting, you're an artist.
Yeah.
Who's to say, But there are people who dispute that.
Right.
And I understand that, but, there's more of us.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you asked that question. So
Yeah.
don't feel bad, because in our group we do not, it's not a classroom, there's no grades. It's just, let's express ourselves, let's talk, let's get it out.
Right.
So it's kind of cool.
And have you had a lot of success with it?
Yes,
with your
we have.
writings?
Yeah, our writing group. Matter of fact, the last one was very successful. We had we had lots of people in that group, and there was poets. There were autobiographies. We had we got one of the plays that we're going to be putting on this year.
I was
we
just going to ask you, are you going to do another play this year?
Yeah. We have 2 that are in the works.
Awesome.
And one of the writers, but actually 2 of the writers both came from the writing workshop.
Groups?
When the writing workshop ended, she needed some extra help because, again, there's a formula. Because actors get on stage, they need to know what their lines are, where,
Right.
So that's the only thing I've been helping her with. We've been meeting about once a month. You may know her, Angelique.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah, she's one of the writers. She's a great writer, too, so yeah. You'll be coming to that show, I'm sure. Once we find a theater.
Right.
When we need a theater.
I know, that's why I said I wanted you to mention on
Yeah,
TV.
we do need a theater.
So, okay, audience, she needs a theater. So,
We do. We need a theater.
So you have your writing that you do, and you
Yeah.
have your Unique Productions, and you work for People Inc.
Yes.
You're doing all this at once.
Yes.
Wow.
I know. I'm very busy, but I think when I'm doing things that I love, it's easy to do, because doing this is fun. Writing
Right.
part's fun. Meeting the people in the writing group, it's fun. We have a lot of laughs. We cry together. We laugh together. To me, it's fun.
Yeah.
When people ask me what I'm doing at night, and people, oh, you're going, I'm like, yeah, but it's fun to me.
Yeah, I mean,
So.
why just sit at home and do nothing?
Exactly. And yeah, we got to get out there and do the work, or
exactly.
have fun.
Like my sister will say to me, "Boy, you're out of the house a lot lately," and I'll be like, "But I just don't want to just sit in the house and do
Right,
nothing."
you don't want to sit in the house, yeah.
We were talking earlier, you and I, about how people have the preconceived notion that people with disabilities just like to sit at home and do nothing. We don't like to work or whatever. That's not true.
I agree with that. I think that's the thing. I think that's why I admire the whole self-advocacy group, even all the people here today that put the effort to put the show in. That's the thing that you guys are putting in the real work. Someone needs to do the real work. It can't be just people running around going, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. You have to do it.
Exactly.
And anybody that wants to start a book or a play or a group, just start it.
Exactly.
Just go and get, even if you start it in your own home. You can start it in your own home. Invite your friends over. Let's have a writing group or a reading group, a book club.
Yeah.
They're very easy tasks to undertake.
They are. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, let's see. What haven't we talked about?
What are you writing? What are you writing about?
I was just writing about. Actually, it was about adolescents just starting high school.
Oh, I like it.
And they all have various disabilities.
Yes.
But then they meet somebody who doesn't have a disability on the outside.
Do you think that this could possibly be a book or a play?
I'm hoping so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the question I was going to ask you about. We were talking earlier about how you don't have to go through a publisher.
That's right.
And I wanted you to explain that.
Yeah, publishing today is very difficult
Yes,
because
it
in the old days you had an agent, or you'd had to peddle your manuscript, send it to Random House or to Scribner, whatever you're sending
Yes.
it to. But with the amazing thing about the internet and the world we live in today, you have blogs that you could start. There's also self-publishing companies that won't even charge you to self-publish your book. It's just
Wow.
it's called print on demand. So you write your book, you get a print on demand company, and you only pay them when you get someone that orders the book.
Gotcha.
See what I mean? So it's print on demand. They're not going to print 50 million copies. They're just going to print one copy for Beth if Beth orders your book. So I'm really encouraging people to start blogs. I think blogs are very, very good. And then if you can get a following, because there's many famous blogs out there that got
I know.
advertisement. So there's so many venues in which to write. And in our writing group, we talk about that a little bit. How we can get a blog going. How you can just do a print on demand. And then again, there's that old-fashioned submit a manuscript.
Yes.
There are some people that luck out on that, and good for them. But it's very difficult because publishing is so expensive now. Paper, the booksellers Barnes and Nobles are closing because of the print on demand and the Nooks and the Kindles.
That's why. Yep.
Right.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah. So
you just mentioned something. You were saying about. I'm drawing a blank here.
That's
Sorry
okay.
about that.
No.
You were talking about the publishing, and we were talking about the blogs. I was going to ask you if you have your own blog.
No, I do not.
You don't?
You know why? Because I have my own theater company.
Okay.
And I have had some success locally with some plays that have been produced locally at local theaters.
Okay.
So I never, and I do write plays. Like I have written short stories, I have written books, but I really like the play, the short play. I love it. I love it because my biggest mantra is, and I say this to all my writers, just say what you got to say and get off the stage. We were just talking about that, how, you don't need all that little details. Details, great, but just get to your point and give us a story. You know what I mean? So that's why I like the stage, because you can't stand on stage and go blah, blah, blah. People are going to walk out or they're going to fall asleep.
Exactly, yes.
So the biggest mantra, even in our theater, is say what you got to say and get off the stage.
I like that.
Because people will not listen.
Yeah.
So.
I think there's some people I need to say that to, actually.
It's a great line.
It is.
It is a good line. Just say what you guys say, because even at work.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, what's the bottom line?
Yeah, it's like, just get to the point.
Right. And that's right. That's really a fancy way of saying get to the point.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't need to hear all the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, because my sister would do that to me. Get to the point.
Right, get to the point. Now, in a book, you could go into a little bit more detail, but even in a book, you got to be careful with, don't drive your reader away.
That would drive me away, to be honest.
Right, it does.
Too much detail.
That too much detail drives people away.
Because I want to skip to it and just get to the lines they're talking and whatever.
Yeah, so those are the elements. Those are the things that we talk about in my writing group. I give them there's 7, tips that are critical to writing, and they're really critical, like conflict and resolution and all that stuff.
Of course, yeah. You got to have a good book.
Yeah, you got to have a structure. Everything has a structure. Even a play has a structure, an arc, and the character develops and they change. So
now, do you just do this by yourself, the writing, or does somebody help you out that night?
My writing group, I do by myself. I find it better because I don't even know why I do it by myself. I just do because then I can schedule the time. It's critical for me that I get to know all my writers personally, so I can see where you need help. Some writers they don't really need the intense help. They just bring their stuff and they're producing. Other writers, I did try to have help, but I don't know. I just felt lost. I felt like I was losing my people. So.
You weren't doing it personally yourself.
Yeah, I have to be right in there with the story because I love listening to the stories. The stories are so good. They're so compelling, So the thing that I do collaborate with is, of course, the theater. I couldn't do it without Vienna or Amy.
Right.
I mean, there's no way you can't run a theater, Vienna's great with the costume. Amy does great on getting our word out.
Amy's a sweetheart.
Oh, yeah, she's the best.
I don't really know Vienna. I've met her, so I don't really know her.
Vienna's like our backstage girl. She's the one that's responsible for all the costumes. She does all the cues, get them on stage. Speaking of Amy, she gets out there and she'll schedule events. We're doing that diversity night.
Yes, you are.
At Spot Coffee on July 25th.
Yes.
So if you have a comedy act, if you have a poem, if you have a song, if you have a short story, we're going to give you a microphone and have a go.
Okay.
So it's at Spot Coffee, and it's diversity night. I think it's going to be everywhere. I'm sure it'll be on Facebook and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
and I've seen it actually. On
right,
Facebook.
You're on Facebook, right?
I am.
Yeah, so you'll be able to spread the word.
Oh, I will.
For us, okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's Amy's doing. Amy's very good at.
She's extremely good.
Yeah, her tentacles are. She goes out and about.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do anything alone except my writing group. I got to be on my writing group.
Yeah. Your writing's your passion, I can tell.
Absolutely, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of anything. I mean, I like to garden. I like my dogs, but you know. So that's why I don't have a blog. I don't.
Okay, you're too busy.
Yeah, and I think everything that I want to say, I can say it through my plays.
I think so.
Yeah. So, but I think a blog would be a good start if for someone that's like, where am I putting this writing?
Right.
And if you have a message that you want to send to your friends or to your family, put it on a blog.
Right.
See what they
say.
That's
how I got started with my blog, because I just I don't like what's going on in the news, and I'm going to say why I don't like the storyline.
How did you know how to get the blog?
Someone told me about a blog.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I want you to come to one of my writing groups too.
Okay.
To show people a blog. I think you should do it. We might have you as a speaker to do a blog demonstration.
Okay, cool.
For real.
I could do it.
Yeah, because I'm computer somewhat, but Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, good.
Like I said, things were happening in the news at one time, and I'm like, that's just not right. So I would blog about it. And my brothers and my family would read about it. Go for it, Gwen,
I love it. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. When you feel passionate about something, you write about it. Because if you would have let it fester inside of you,
I would have gotten angry with it.
Right, you get angry and you're just walking around. So get it out, write it, talk about it, or paint about it, write about it, do what you can do.
Yeah.
So, love it.
Yeah. So, do you do anything else besides working?
Let me think.
When do you relax? Let's say
when do I relax? I go on vacation sometime.
Do you?
You know what I do for relaxation? I really do is I read.
Okay.
I read. Like I make an appointment. Like Saturday, I'm not going out. I'm gonna turn off the phone and I'll read.
And you read. What do you like to read?
Oh my gosh, I read. I've been into these documentary type books. Like I just read one called Elephant Company. It was about elephants, how they were used in World War II. Mm-hmm. Now I'm reading about Orphan Train, about some orphans.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a good book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm having a good reading year this year.
Oh, good.
Because I write down every book that I read.
Yeah.
And then I rate it.
Okay.
Because people come to me and they'll go, "Oh, what book should I read, Beth?" And I can look in my book.
Speaking of elephants, have you ever read Water for Elephants?
Yes, of
That
course
is an
I have.
awesome
Isn't that
book.
the best book ever?
Yes.
I know. And what's about that Unbroken? That was a good book with
That was a
Laura
good one.
Hillebrand.
Yes.
She wrote Seabiscuit.
Yep.
Those are those are the kind of books I like. Like
too.
when it's fictional but based on history.
Me too.
Like
Yes.
Water for Elephants, very historical but
It was,
true,
yes.
but around a story.
Yeah, we'll have to talk because I've read a bunch of other books too.
Oh, you had? Yeah, I'm a big reader,
That
so I'm glad.
that's
I'm
like
glad
that.
that you're
Yeah.
reading. Yeah, everybody. I
love to read.
And it doesn't matter what you're reading. There's
No.
It's another thing. I don't judge. Read anything. Just
Right.
read because that's how I relax, and that's a fact.
Right. Well, I used to be totally into mysteries, and then I'm like,
Oh.
I need to get away from that a little bit, just
Yeah.
because. I don't know. I kept hearing about other books like Christian books, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to get into
Yeah.
that. But then I did get into some of them, like Jeanette Oakes Christian books.
No, I never
And
even
I
heard
liked
of
her a lot. She's the one who wrote like the Love Comes Softly books they showed on Hallmark the movies Love Comes Softly,
I have heard of that.
and she wrote I love When Calls the Heart
I heard of that
on
one, too.
Hallmark.
See, I don't
She
know.
wrote-
I don't.
She
I
read
didn't-
those books too. Wrote those books too.
Yeah,
read
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Awesome
yeah.
books.
I'll have to
They
look
really
at-
are.
yeah, I'll
Not
look
too
into that.
preachy. It just talks about their faith in God, but
Yeah, but
just
yeah,
about faith
But a
in
lot
general.
of books do. Yeah.
Exactly. So I got into those. So I kind of got away from the mysteries, and I've been reading a little bit. Like I'll look on like Oprah's
Yeah.
list, and pick some books from
I
her
know
too.
Oprah has some good lists
She
too.
has some very
She has
good
very
lists.
good lists. See, those are the things. That's what I really am begging people to start book clubs.
Yeah.
Like people like you and I should start book clubs, but I
Yes.
don't have the time. But but I really think that book clubs are important too.
They
That's
are.
what gets people talking and
reading.
That's
Yes.
right. I agree.
Yeah.
So you should probably start a book club.
I'm working on it.
You should.
Everybody keeps telling me I should write a book about my life, and I know that.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to get we're at
I will.
People Incorporated. We had a program where we had what if all of People Inc. read the same book. That was really cool.
That would be
because
cool.
It was cool because all the people that attend in our programs, we would read the book. I think we did The Art of Racing in the Rain, about that dog.
Yes.
That could talk.
Yes.
So that was fun. So I'm thinking of trying to get one of my groups to start What If People Inc. All of People Inc. read the same book.
that would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah,
Yes.
because it does work. Because then even the secretaries and then the directors and the presidents were reading the book, and then we would all talk about it.
Exactly, and then
Yeah,
you
it was
guys
cool.
kind of get on, like you're
Yeah.
on the same level.
Yeah,
and
everybody
stuff.
was on the same conversation. It was fun.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get that to go started again, but we got to figure out a book. And I'm liking this JoJo Moyes.
Okay.
Yeah, she wrote You Before Me. It was a good book too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Keep that in
Good.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
anyway.
so what haven't we talked
I know.
about?
What haven't we talked about? Okay, I'm really interested in your writing, and I am.
It's supposed to be about your show.
I know, but together, maybe,
Yeah.
when I want to personally invite you to the diversity, and I want to personally invite you to the writing
Oh, I'll be there.
workshop.
Yeah.
And
I'll try to be.
And I want to talk more about my writing is to remind people that it's not just about the disability. I can't even stress that enough.
Oh, I know.
I really can't.
The only reason why I made them disabled at first is because I want people to see
Oh, of course.
that they had more than just their disabilities in school.
I agree.
I mean, I put in some experiences that I went through, of course, in school,
yes,
but
you
nothing
should.
tragic.
Yeah, because I don't want to put your disability aside,
Right.
or not you, but the person's disability
Aside.
aside. But don't worry if it's just a story.
Right, and that's what it is.
Yeah, don't worry
Yeah.
because that's what it is. But I know, like I said, people do talk about just being disabled. I think.
Right, and I don't want to go that
Yeah,
way.
and that's
really.
fine. But
yeah,
but we're not doing that.
right.
So, and do you write on a computer or?
I do.
Oh, good.
Because you couldn't read my handwriting, trust me.
I know some, and no, that's good, but there are some, and that's the other thing. Some people that I work with, they don't have a computer and they don't have a computer, so they'll use longhand and pen. That's
Yeah.
fine too because we
Okay.
can always transcribe it. Other people feel embarrassed because they can't even. Maybe their writing is too squiggly or whatever.
Mine's just
That's fine
bad.
because I've had people bring in their friends who would then help them translate it or help them write it,
Oh,
or
really?
they would listen to them. And I did work with Mary, who was on the show,
Right.
and she would tell me her story, and then I
Yes.
would type it out. That's a very long process, but it can work.
Yeah.
You know,
it was
can
sad
work.
when she passed away.
I know, it was very sad. Oh my gosh.
It was so quick.
Yeah, but you know what? Her whole dream came true. She got her play published. She got everything. She did a great job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have about 2 minutes left.
Oh.
So, and it's been a fun show.
I know, this is a good one. This is a good conversation.
So, what would you like to say to people in the next 2 minutes?
Okay, next 2 minutes. I'm going to say 3 things. First of all, I want to say right on, maybe 4 things. I think that I want to encourage people to read anything. Doesn't matter what you read. Doesn't have to be a fancy book. Also, Diversity Night, July 25th at the Spot Coffee. And please keep an eye out on Unique Productions. We are on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter if you want to see our play. We don't have a title for it yet. We don't even have a location. But please follow us on Facebook, Unique Productions or Up Productions. Okay.
And you need to keep in mind that she definitely does need a theater space.
I do need a theater, please. Yes.
Yes. Okay, this has been Gwen Squire from Self-Advocacy in Action. Thank you all for joining us today, and we hope you join us next time.
This is Eric Bazant speaking for Self-Advocacy in Action, a Sandy's Western production.